Okay, well, in the past week, 5 people have been executed in 5 different states. And you can see the number of persons executed had been going down since about 2000. You see the chart here. But recently it's the upturn. And that last bar shows this year. And so far there have been 18 executions. Ben, do you think this is a trend, or what's causing this, or is this mere coincidence?
Well, yeah, for the last 2 years, it's trended up a little bit as far as the executions, which is 50% Florida and Texas, which is not anything really that new. But since 1976, the highest was 98 in 1999, and it had trended down since then up until the last 2 years, right, where it bumped up a little bit. In addition to that, what's been trending down consistently is the amount of people that have been sentenced to death. So that continues to trend down as well.
How about the methods of doing it? There's been some controversy over the drugs that are used and all, and a number of, I don't know if there's any U.S. companies that'll make those drugs. So is it just that we can't do them? Or
yeah.
Is that one of the factors?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is you have medical doctors and people that have an oath to do no harm, that really know actually how to effectively do it and not have people suffer. And then you have people actually administrating and doing it that may not have that level of training. So there is that component that is true.
So fewer people being sentenced, chemicals not always being available, and people not wanting to participate.
Yeah, and you know, they tried new stuff in the last couple of years that they hadn't tried on human beings yet, and that was concerning, to say the least. But I think overall, I think it's been a 3% of all executions where it didn't go right the first time, which 3%, that's a lot.
Lisa.
It is utterly and always barbaric. It is never justified. The state should never be in the business of killing in this realm. Certainly the crimes that some of these people are guilty of, and you know, that's always a concern too, are we executing innocent people? But when they are guilty, those crimes are also barbaric, but 2 wrongs don't make a right. And you know, I just think it's evidence. The continued use of the death penalty is immoral in my view, but it's also evidence of our failure as a society and a people to evolve and learn. And, you know, and the last thing I'll say is, speaking of Twitter, you just reminded me, or X, you know, I was reading about people's accounts. There was a witness to last night's execution who posted her account of it, including, you know, references to what appeared to be suffering on the part of the person who was executed. And I mean, I was struck by the comments to that post. You know, half of them were, I agree, it's barbaric, et cetera. And the other half were, you know, so what? You know, let him suffer. And I mean, it just was striking to me how.
Yeah, and those involved, he probably was not suffering, for what it's worth, that there are stages of when the person is no longer aware of what's happening, that their body as it's dying goes through stages that can hit things that can look like they are flailing, and it is the stage of the body shutting down. So it does look horrific.
Well, and what company do we keep? I mean, we and Belarus are the only Western nations that still do this, and it's primarily dictators and monarchies that have capital punishment. So we think of ourselves as a leader in democracy, yet, like you said, we haven't evolved and moved away from this. And I don't understand why more conservatives don't embrace the conservative argument. Most of the executions occur in the South, and you're telling me rural Southerners trust the government with anything, and then they're going to trust the government to effectively prosecute people and kill them? Like, why would we want to give the power to the government to kill citizens in this way? It just doesn't make any sense to me, particularly when we know that human beings make mistakes, and we've made mistakes and killed people who we've later found out that it's innocent. If that happens once, the system is broken and needs to be eliminated because there's no recourse to remedy the error.
What about the unfairness of the system, Lisa?
Well, I mean,
Racial disparities.
It's absolutely a fact that the system is biased against racial minorities. So that's just yet another reason. I thought you were going to mention a conservative. That conservatives don't. It costs a ton of money to put somebody to death, right? To support their appeals, to all the extra protections legally that you have to undergo for.
It's cheaper to keep them in jail.
It's cheaper to keep them in jail.
And
Right, but
That's a general matter.
But if we went to the extreme examples of people that were on death row, like a Jeffrey Dahmer and other serial killers, where it was not just human error, it was not just a mistake. They were monstrous acts over and over with long periods of time where they could wake up and find God or find a reason not to go and maliciously torture and kill another human being. That if you take it out of, it's the government's job to protect us and to give us justice. And if the government's not doing it, then your Southern boys will do it. And that's the problem that it goes back to, is you've got to have a justice system in place that feels like you're getting the deterrence and justice.